Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? This is Uche Maple here, your leadership and business strategist. Can I say that I'm excited? It has been a long time since I have went live with content and information. And in 2025, my goal is to provide content for this new way that we are doing things because things are going to be changing at such a fast pace, and that my goal is really to provide you information. So what we're going to be talking about on the Women Who Lead Network is everything dealing with leadership, entrepreneurship, and purpose. Having a purpose driven life, what does that mean? How are you leading with intention? How are you, from an entrepreneur standpoint, how is your business growing in this day? What are some of the challenges that you're facing? So when we talk about it, and I believe that 2025 is a year of the resilient leader. It's going to take everything in you in order um, to persevere, but to have resilience while you're doing that. So that's going to be the theme for 2025 for us, is the resilient leader. And what does that look like? So today, when we talk about what's one of the skills that you need as a leader in 2025, and that's resilience. And what does that look like? So what we're going to talk about today is going to be a part one of a part two series, is how to make decision um, in such a fast pace in the midst of uncertainty. Okay. So thank you for joining us today. Let's get started. Before we get started, I want you to take a moment and drop a quick hello and just tell me where you're coming, where you're calling from or where you're tuning in from. Excuse me. I like to know because you're my audience. And it's been a while, so I'm excited if you haven't noticed yet. And I'm just excited that I'm able to provide more content and really starting this year off in a way that is giving you something that you can use today or and tomorrow. So, hope you had a chance to recharge over the holidays. I know we're going into the new year, and 2024 was a lot. So, we're going to start off really like for you to, what I plan to start off in 2025 is really from a place of peace and a place of clarity. And knowing that in order for me to reach the goals that has been given to me, that I need to maintain faith, peace, and resilience to move there. Okay. So a client told me something recently. They said, some days I feel like I need superhuman strength. How many of us can relate to that? Just to navigate at the all the changes that's coming at me, both in my work and in my business. Does that sound familiar? Yes. So let's just keep it 100, is that, whether you are leading teams and organizations or you're trying to figure out how to adapt your business to the changing market, one thing is clear. Traditional leadership, that playbook is no longer relevant. It's a great baseline, right? But it's just not cutting it anymore. We now have to think differently in a way that we haven't thought before, right? Which is why our motto is empowering today's leaders for tomorrow challenges, because every day is a new challenge. And our goal is to worry about what we're doing today to prepare us for tomorrow. So, how many of us can remember, or you just this happened to you, where you had to make a big decision and everyone's looking for you for answers, right? Your team needs direction. Your stakeholders want updates. They're like, what's happening? What's going on? Internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. But your situation, the reality is your situation is unclear. And your mind starts racing with what ifs and worst case scenarios. This reminds me of a time when I got an opportunity, raised my hand. I should have kept my head down to work as the analyst lead for a simulation project. And there were a lot of unknowns. In systems engineering, we have known knowns and known unknowns, which is what we know and things we don't know. And in this case, it was a lot of unknowns because it was something that had never been done before. And people were looking for me to make answers, to give them answers. And And the stakeholders was wondering. Here's what I realized very quickly. One, I should have never been in that role. Let me just say that. Two, I should have articulated I need someone who knew how to do that role. And three, what I realized is that as a leader, you're going to lean on your strengths, whatever that is. When you are in a position and you don't know, it's the first time you've done it, you're going to lean on your strengths. So yeah, that was that was that was that was not a good situation, but it was a learning experience, right? And if I had known this, I would have what I'm about to teach you today. If I had did this then, I would have easily resolved that situation more quicker than the longer time that it took. So, a couple of months ago, I was working with a leader, and let's just call her Royal, for example, who was in a decision where they had to make a decision very quickly. And she said something that might sound familiar to you, but to me, she said, I know I need to make a decision, but there's so much uncertainty. What if I make the wrong choice? How many of us have been in that situation where there is a lot of uncertainty, and we know that if we make one choice, we don't know what will happen. If we make a second choice, we don't know what will happen. How many of us can relate to that, right? So here's what's interesting that I love doing this is by the end of our time working together, Royal made a decision that has she been putting off for weeks. And not because she suddenly had more information, but because she learned something that changed everything about how she approached uncertainty. And that's what we're actually going to talk about today. Okay. So get your pen and paper out because we got some juicy nuggets in here and you're going to want to write it down. So here is what's happening in leadership right now. There is pressure to make faster decisions at such a more increasing rate, but the amount of uncertainty isn't going down. In fact, it's growing. So type yes if you feel pressure in your role. Type yes. So what happens, right? As a leader, we try to solve this problem by what? Getting more data. Y'all go run that again. Go get me some more numbers. Go talk to such and such. I need more information here. We have more meetings. Meeting fatigue. We don't need no more meetings. We just don't have the answer right now. And then really doing more runs, more analysis, right? Because it's such a lot of uncertainty. But here's actually what's interesting. Research actually shows that after a certain point, more information actually makes our decision worse, not better. Let me show you why. And more importantly, what to do instead. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay. So I'm going to share one element of what I call the 2-minute decision protocol. This is the same tool that Royal used to make her decision, to break through her decision paralysis. I've actually used this method when I was going to engineering. It is what we were taught. And I still use this to this day because it just makes things a lot more clearer when I am having to make decisions. And, if it's not broken, why change it, right? So the first question I always ask is, what do I know for certain right now? What actually do I know? What information do I know right now? And what that looks like is, so let me demonstrate with a real life example. So Royal was facing a decision about how to gain more resources to meet a project deadline. Okay. Her team had identified a technical opportunity. We love those. But by pursuing it meant shifting resources from another project for a short term. And everyone knows no one likes to shift resources for one project to another, no matter if it's one day, if it's 1 hour, because we know it takes more. So this is the issue that she was facing. So instead of getting caught up in analysis paralysis, meaning let's see what we need to do. We keep running the runs. We keep trying to move people around. What does this look like? I actually said, let's just use the clarity map as an example, which is just one part of our decision framework. And here how it works. So what I'm going to show you is an example of the clarity roadmap. Okay. So that you'll be able to see this. I love it because I think it's awesome. I do. I think it's really awesome. Okay. So this is the clarity roadmap. And what we have on here and what we did with Royal was, this is just a simple version of it. Let me be clear. Okay. So in the first 30 seconds, we only list things that are verified facts, things that are real, not assumptions, not predictions, just actual facts. Okay. And in the next 30 seconds, you identify your key resources, right? And then after you identify those two, you take another 60 seconds to find your point of maximum leverage. So, Uche, what does that mean? What that means is that a point of maximum leverage is the place in a situation where you can make the smallest input, change, decision to create the largest positive impact. So what that looks like is, if we're looking to change resources as an example, it may be that a person who's working, we need this person to come on and work with us on project A, but they're working on project B. And what we realize is that the amount of time that they're working on project B, we can use, they can actually do the work quicker on project A because it's more in alignment with their skill set, right? So if they are an analyst, they know how to use the tools, and they can come in and help us at such a greater magnitude than what they were doing at project B. That's an example of leveraging the point of maximum leverage, being able to identify that, which has the most significant effect with the least amount of effort or resources. Ding, 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 ding. That's the key. Okay, so when Roya did this, she found something surprising. She actually found out that she had enough information to make a very confident decision. So her problem wasn't the lack of information. It was actually organizing it on paper and sitting still, right, to see and understand what she already knew. A lot of times when we're in these decision paralysis is because we don't take the time to write things out on paper or to write things out on the board. It's all in our brain. And the reality is our brain isn't a computer. So you have a hard time trying to learn and get the information. Okay, so type 1, if that makes sense to you. All right. So the result was Roya was able to make a decision that led her to finishing the project on time with a short-term impact, but recoverable to the other project. But here's what's really important that I want you to understand. As a result of that, here's the key. It's what happens as the output of that. Her team's confidence in her leadership actually increased during a period of uncertainty. This is why I say leaders are created in times of chaos and troubles. They emerge. And it's always an opportunity to demonstrate what you can do during chaos and uncertainty. Now, what I've shared today is just one small piece of the complete framework. In our upcoming workshop on January 30th, we're going to be diving much deeper. And what you're going to learn is the complete 2-minute decision protocol, how to build teams' confidence during uncertainty, and the exact framework for spotting opportunities others miss. Yes. So what makes this workshop different? It's not about theory. It's things that I've done, and it's tools that you can implement immediately. So here's the key. This workshop is actually limited to 50 participants to ensure that they get the personal attention. And the first 10 people who register will actually get a 30-minute complimentary leadership resilient assessment with me. So just drop the word decide, DECIDE, in comments if you like the registration link. But before we wrap up, here's the thing that I'm curious about is, what's one decision you're currently facing that you'll like to approach with more confidence? Share in comments, or you can definitely DM me. And don't forget to join us for part 2 tomorrow, where we'll be talking about how we keep our teams motivated during constant change. Thank you for being here today. I look forward to seeing you in the workshop. Again, my name is Uche Onion Maple. I'm the leadership and development consultant, where we empower leaders for the challenges that they have to deal with tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Bye.